And as I stand here today to address the protecting of the euro in debating the Counterfeiting Bill, there is no doubt as to its importance, protecting businesses from interference by the production of counterfeit money, whatever currency, euro or otherwise. By passing the bill, we will give effect to implementation of the EU directives as required by EU member states, Ireland being the last to do so. It is without doubt a necessity to safeguard the euro from the threat of counterfeit notes. However, protecting the euro currency does not begin and end with counterfeit production. Unfair competition or unfair trade practices for businesses damaging trade within the EU also damage the euro. I must emphasise, Ceann Comhairle, that it is also very necessary to state the equal importance of other factors, such as unfair competition and trade practices, and I say indeed having a monumental effect on any country and are capable of causing far greater damage to, or at least as much as that caused by the counterfeiting of currency. Since January 1st, Ireland has suffered detrimentally from the start of Brexit and the reintroduction of EU regulations as the transition period came to an end and the UK finally and fully exited the EU. The EU discussed for over 4 years a path to allow as near as possible a seamless transition for trade to continue from January 1st, 2021. In the hands of Michel Barnier's negotiating team was Ireland's fate. Our fishermen lost upwards of 15% of their fishing quotas, and daily we are learning of other detrimental effects as we see trade slow to 1990 levels and state agencies in constant denial that there are problems. Tell me that this is not affecting the euro. What damages any member state damages the whole union, and a diminution in trade will weaken the euro as much as counterfeiting, if not more. We laud the fact that we have received £1 billion from the EU as a consolation prize for the onslaught of the Brexit negotiations. It's incredulous that the billions of debt we took on just over 10 years ago to save the euro, we now get £1 billion, which is expected to compensate for the fact that Ireland and its peace process was the stick used to beat the UK, ensuring that the US would row in and bat not just for Ireland, but for the EU. The long-awaited peace process having been agreed in 1998, the political leaders of the day, David Trimble and John Hume, may he rest in peace, who for their efforts jointly received the Nobel Peace Prize and will go down in history for bringing peace to this island. The Good Friday Agreement that has been revered worldwide as a template to conduct peace processes and bring war-torn countries to the table and result in the general population of many being able to live with their differences respectfully and, most importantly, peacefully. Ceann Comhairle, the whole world understands the importance of dialogue. World leaders don't make brash statements or take rash actions without fully understanding the consequences. But when they do, their decisions should not go unchallenged. In an interview last week, Niamh O'Leary of the Irish Times asked President von der Leyen the following question. Now that the European Commission has shown itself willing to use Article 16, seemingly quite casually, we expect opponents of the protocol to redouble their calls for the British government to override it, and for this to continue for years to come whenever a problem arises. Do you understand the scale of the damage that has been done? In reply, President von der Leyen said, and I quote, "Of course, I am fully aware of the sensitivity related to the protocol on Ireland and Northern Ireland. I fought for this protocol and its implementation over the past year, and I am determined to ensure it's upheld. Our sole aim in designing the Export Transparency and Authorisation Scheme is to achieve transparency on shipments of vaccines abroad, to make sure that this is not done to the detriment of expected deliveries in the EU." Ceann Comhairle, Ursula von der Leyen's answer clearly shows she actually has no understanding whatsoever of the consequences of her actions and the detrimental effect it has on Ireland. The consideration here is not the supply of the vaccine, nor is it the year she spent, as she put it, fighting hard for the protocol. It is the dire position that her unilateral decision, without consultation with the Irish government, has put us in. Less than 6 weeks into a life-changing process called Brexit, the President of the EU made a monumental mistake. As members of the EU, it reflects badly on us all, and we haven't even been involved in the decision process. It has set us back 20 years. It reminds us of the position adopted by the ECB in 2008, when the then Governor of the ECB, Jean-Claude Trichet, forced the Irish state to guarantee the obligations of the Irish banks without any regard for the consequences. The consequences of this policy caused our country severe hardship, austerity and unemployment. We may have saved the euro, but we owe billions as a result. This utter disgraceful mess has gone without even a question in regard of the capability of Ursula von der Leyen. Have we nothing to say on behalf of the Irish citizens? We had a strong fighter in Ireland's corner, and a nil-judged attendance at a dinner sealed his fate, one that was also to Ireland's detriment, and also a decision made at the hands of those now responsible for the disastrous situation we have been plunged into.
I'm struggling to see the relevance with the counterfeit bill. So you might.
Well, the relevance is how we need other measures also to protect the currency, including counterfeit, Count Corla. I haven't diverted too much, if you don't mind. Well, the people of this country have paid a heavy price, enduring price for government's mistakes. I can hear the story of the elephant and the fly ringing in my ears. Those who put you in the dung are not always your enemy, and those who take you out of it are not always your friend. Whereas I will be supporting the bill, I want this government to enact legislation to ensure we deal effectively with criminals who produce counterfeit currencies, recognising the damage it causes, but not nearly as much as I want them to deal with those who seem to think that they are not responsible for recreating ill feelings that Ireland as a nation took 20 years to suppress. They may attribute it all to safeguarding the EU's share of the vaccine, but we will live with the effects of the EU's mindless action of invoking Article 16 long after the COVID vaccine has been rolled out, just as we live with the so-called bailout generation after generation. Count Corla, daily we hear from government in relation to Brexit and that we have teething problems, and they are confident that they will be resolved. Well, I have on many occasions rebuffed their confidence, and they have been misinformed as they are being told by those responsible for the incompetence of delivering seamless operations from Customs, the Department of Agriculture and others. Instead, the government's failure to listen tentatively to those who are practically experiencing trade devastation daily, and the failure to listen means that they take no action, except for to say that Brexit is not of their making. This inaction will have a far more devastating effect than any counterfeit currency could have on this country. And I can only hope that the government took note of the unfortunate announcement by Wilkers in County Offaly that they must lay off 80 of their 100 staff. In simple maths, 80% of the workforce laid off. This scenario will be replicated tenfold, and that's not me wishing to scaremonger. That's the reality. A reality that is being masked by the fact that government has the country in level 5 lockdown. The construction sector is not purchasing supplies. Neither are the many businesses regarded as non-essential. So when government decides it will open up the country for people to return to work, we will then see the true levels of the inaction. And all that remains is what or who they will blame. Count Corla, the B word for bailout, and the accompanying loss of economic independence, just as the V word may well see the loss of peace on the island. But the I word for inaction is the most detrimental of all. Every single one of us on the island deserves better. To conclude, the current bill is a good move, but do not let us lose the plums in the duff by neglecting matters in need of urgent attention. We need to have mechanisms that safeguard our economy from damaging impulsive decisions, such as those taken by powerful EU figures such as Ursula von der Leyen and Jean-Claude Trichet. Go raibh maith go to Count Corla.